Hello everybody, welcome back to It's Current Year for another quick battle ladder replay. Today I'm up against Lurmgod, who is playing the Beastmen. I'm playing Skaven, not a faction I play a lot, and I'm playing Clan Pestilens to boot, so we're getting in a bit of a sub-faction theme, I guess. But yeah, Harriet Ridge, decent sized map, so potential for both factions to do some. And we've got a Beastman Vanguard. Okay, cool. Yep, so we'll put it on a bit of a slow play, and we'll have a look at my force first because it's less spread out. So basically, as you'd expect, Skaven Slaves in the front, 4 of them in total, a couple of Skaven Slave Spears behind that. Also the Council Guard, a couple of units of Rat Ogres, which are going to be important here because chariots are a big factor in the current meta for Beastmen. The obviously Tuskor Chariot's very cost effective. A couple of units of Poison Wolf Rat. I believe I've got 3 all up. There's 2 here, and then there is 1 out vanguarded out to the side. There's a little bit of real estate you can vanguard in over here. And leading the force, well, actually we have a bit of a sort of a single entity squad here. 2 Doom Wheels, which I actually really like against the Beastmen. I think they're actually a good unit. Can kite reasonably well. They've got a lot of ammunition and good penetration on their missiles, so they can kill stuff like Centaurs. And for our little hero core, we have an Assassin who's coming in with the Rival Hide Talisman and Assassin's Trophy, a Chieftain with just the Shield of Distraction and Guardian, and then we have Skrulk leading the force, because when you're playing Pestilens, you have to bring Skrulk. You don't have to, but you do. So he's got both his items, obviously a lot of burst damage capable there. I've gone Vermintide as well as Pestilent Breath just for some wave clearing of infantry, and then obviously we've got Stand or Die to keep stuff in the fight. Now my opponent has done a big Vanguard in the rear here, and of course, as I said, there's going to be some chariot spam. So we've got a Wargore up on a chariot here. It looks like he's coming in pretty much naked with his with just the Bestial Fury, or whatever it's called, the Primal Fury. We've got a Bray Shaman of Wild with just Traderkin, and then we have Khazrak, who I don't think I have seen in any kind of match basically since the recent DLC. He's been sort of made redundant to a certain extent by Taurox and just by the strength of just regular chariots. 5 units of regular Gore Herds with the double axes in the back, so a heavy Vanguard force here. Gore Herds can butcher most Skaven infantry aside from Clan Rat. No, they can definitely butcher Clan Rats, but aside from Storm Vermin. And then the rest of the force up here, a bunch of Centaurs with throwing axes. We've got some pigs, and yeah, lots of good stuff in the front. Some Ungors as well, which have been basically set upon and terror routed very quickly. Now, I was trying to get a bit of an overlap here with the Council Guard. Pigs, generally speaking, don't want to go anywhere near anti-large stuff like the Storm Vermin, even just regular Clan Rats, actually. It's probably not a great trade for Razor Gores if they're not buffered out by other infantry, but some of our Wolf Rats have pretty much routed straight away, because that's what Wolf Rats basically do. Somehow these Wolf Rats have full leadership. No. Why does it say their leadership is like full? Well, they've shattered, so we won't see them again. So see you later, Wolf Rats. Another one, they rally in straight away, but the Ungor line is basically in disarray. The one of the Doom Wheels actually had a fair bit of damage put onto him by the throwing axes, but we did get a Skaven Slave Summon, and we're doing some nice damage here and blocking in a lot of the unit models from Centaurs, and then potentially going to get a rear charge here on the Razor Gores, which will probably be enough to at the very least rampage them. Yep, there they go, rampaging as good pigs do. But the Ungor, or the Gore herds in the back rather, can't get over here quick enough, and I am going to retreat over here to hopefully the safety of my Council Guard, because I do see the chariot squad coming in, but the Rat Ogres have the mass to kind of deal with it, so I will countercharge there. There was a Trader King going down. Granted, it doesn't do a lot to single entities, so I'm not too fussed about that, and I think it got a unit of Clan Rats as well. But the early game going quite well for me. I've managed to break off the initial force here. Most of this stuff is now, I think, actually hidden because they've restalked. And we've managed to push up the Centaur throwing axes, which are really the only viable threat to the Doom Wheels. And Clan Rat Spears, I mean, I'm happy for them to push Centaurs as far away from the fight as possible, even if they never ever catch them and take a lot of casualties. So Doom Wheels coming in, I'm just basically staying on the move at all times with the Doom Wheels, not letting them get caught down, trying to burn them through a lot of infantry. We see the Rod of Corruption here. I decided to use it because I've got a couple of units bunched up, and I figure if I can get them off, obviously, and keep my infantry intact as much as I can, it's going to limit the amount of cycle charging that my opponent can do, and we can use our mass to try and pin them in. Goreherd's now lapping around this flank, and we've managed to push back the Centaurs reasonably well. So pretty much the chariots they've taken a decent amount of damage. Taking some friendly fire there, which is very fitting for Skaven on my Rat Ogres, but they are going to overchase a little bit, and I want to try and keep them close to the Council Guard, who are pretty healthy, haven't lost too many models. I think they've only lost 4 unit models. Oh no, they have 120, yeah, so they've lost a few, but they're still giving Guardian, and this is a big boo-boo on my behalf. I did take multiple units of Guardian. So I promise I didn't do it. Promise I didn't do it intentionally. It's my opponent, but I'm not very familiar with the Skaven roster, so yeah, forgive me on this occasion. Opponent is doing a good job with these chariots, just picking up little scraps where he can. Doesn't want to obviously go anywhere near the Council Guard, and even my heroes are pretty good at killing chariots. The Chieftain is anti-large, and with the Rat Ogres around here, doesn't want to get too close and potentially get pinned in with the mass of the Rat Ogres and then get wailed on by the Council Guard. But I'm pretty happy with my position at the moment. I mean, all this stuff out here is quite tattered. I've got quite a bit of Winds of Magic left. I believe I did also cast a few Pestilent Breaths on infantry, and I think I might have even got one on a Centaur, which is why they're pretty beaten up. But we've got the Centaur throwing axes here out of ammo. They're going to charge in and rout off my clan rats. I'm not really too worried about that. Obviously I've got some wolf rats coming back here, so I'm going to bring them back into the main sort of fight, and I am going to just try and screen out. You'll see these Council Guard form up in a second and try and basically turn to fight the chariot squad, and buy as much time for this little just big rolling ball of death with all my heroes and the 2 Doom Wheels to roam around and get as much done on the infantry over here. Another Rod of Corruption going down. I was hoping that the chariots would stay within the radius, as well as a stand your ground going down just to keep them in the fight, but probably wasn't the ideal use. I probably could have used my second Rod of Corruption a little bit better. Likewise, trying to get my clan rats to pin the infantry in here. I'm fine with my opponent going after the summons. I just want to try and basically block the escapes as much as I can. We see some little spot fires going down on the flanks. I mean, Gauls will absolutely butcher Skaven slaves, but this is where the battle is going to be won and lost. It's all about the hero squad here for the Beastmen. My opponent has got a couple of Traderkins down, but outside of the Rat Ogres, there's really nothing that Traderkin is going to be excellent at killing in this list. As I said, it doesn't do that much damage to single entities. It doesn't do enormous damage to infantry either, but I guess damage is damage, and my opponent will take whatever he can here, because I probably am in the lead. The balance of power rates the game quite evenly at the moment, but the Doom Wheels reasonably healthy, really no ammo left on my opponent's Centaurs, which is a good source of damage. But so the Doom Wheels are just going to plow headlong into combat. They're fighting a little bit unsupported here, but I am going to bring some Wolf Rats around, and if we can get a nice rear charge and a nice Pestilent Breath going down, is going to do a lot of damage to these Centaurs, and we'll get a nice rear charge. Terror Outs going off. Obviously one of the big boons of Doom Wheels is they do give you sort of mobile terror. But my opponent once again is going to charge in. Unfortunately, I had a Clan Rat summon there that was interrupted, and may overchase just slightly with these Wolf Rats with poison, trying to get these Centaurs off, and Ungors are probably going to do reasonably well against Wolf Rats in combat. That wasn't an attack order. And we've got some pigs coming back into the fight as well, but very tattered, low leadership, probably not going to last in a fight very long with all the single entities here. Likewise, the Assassin just pops Concealment Bomb, because at this stage, why not? But Stand Your Ground is taking effect as well. Potential for maybe my Chieftain to be isolated, so I'm going to bring him back into the fight. As we take a little bit of an overarching look of the battlefield at the moment, you see a lot of stuff for the Beastmen, very, very beaten up, but they are going to return to the fight. Another Rod of Corruption is going down, but this one did actually get Khazrak and do a bit of damage to him. As you can see, I also have an Assassin's Trophy going down, but with the Rat Ogres off the field, I am struggling to keep the chariots in these unfavourable combats, and I've got a fair bit of Winds of Magic left at this stage in the battle. I think I've only used 2 or 3 summons, and I think I might have used, I think that's my 3rd Pestilent Breath, so I've got okay supply left, but my opponent is going to withdraw, and he's I mean, he's doing the right thing, fulfilling the attacking rule here. The Ungor hordes are coming back in. Most of this was actually hidden from me during the game. The Ungors obviously do restalk when they sort of run away from you, but my opponent is able to withdraw with his single entities here while he has other multi-unit battles units in the battle, and gear up for another engagement and get his positioning right. So looks like my Doom Wheels are actually out of ammo, which is probably affecting the balance of power a little bit as well. I could probably be more further in front than I am at the moment, but one of the Doom Wheels does rout, presents an opportunity for my opponent to maybe chase it off and even out the balance of power a little bit. And I'm going to create try and create a bit of space. This is, I've got no idea why this Doom Wheel is routing this way towards 3 single entities, but you know, that's that's one of the great mysteries of the game. The Doom Wheel does unfortunately die, and we do have a full health unit of Gore Herds here as well, which can potentially is potentially actually quite big for these chariot characters. But we see here Karzrak, the bumper cars. The bumper cars are happening, and Karzrak is just getting pushed along by this Doom Wheel. The Doom Wheel is actually slightly faster than him, so you're just going to sort of constantly be bumping into him. Another Trader King going down, potentially going to do maybe the final damage to my Council Guard, but you know, I am obviously a dirty cheater in this game. I do have another source of Guardian. I do apologise to my opponent if you are watching, Lerm God. Like I said, didn't do it intentionally, but I did do it. So one Council Guard left here, another Clan Rat summon, and now we're sort of getting towards the end of the battlefield, the end of the battle, and my 3 characters are pretty healthy, and I still have an assassin on the field. Basically, terror outs here are going to be pretty big. I'm going to get pushed around a little bit by the chariot characters, and the Doom Wheel's just sort of running in circles around here. But the Chieftain will land a pretty nice hit. I probably could have used the Assassin's Trophy on the Chieftain, sees the Wargore rather, seeing he got stuck. But the Wargore does get terror outed, and with that, that's pretty much the death knell for my opponent at this stage. Granted, the Brashaman is quite healthy. Maybe if that terror out hadn't taken place, he may have got another Trader King, which might have evened things up. But very nicely done by this Doom Wheel. Really played some nice bumper cars in the end. Very well played game by my opponent, but a really close win. A really back and forth game. This was just a quick battle ladder game. Wasn't an Ent ladder game or anything like that. So it was a very high standard game for a quick battle. So Lerm God, as I said, if you're watching, sorry for taking 2 Guardian units. Once again, I didn't mean it. But yeah, well played. It was a really fun game. So my opponent's build obviously it's the kind of build that actually can sort of compromise Skaven very well. The Skaven don't deal very well with factions that can collapse them from multiple points at once. They can deal with an unfavorable frontal engagement because obviously even stuff like you know, weapons teams, globes, all these kinds of things, they can sort of you know, fire and flee and reposition quite well and plug the gaps with basically, you know, the secondary layer of infantry with summons, that kind of thing. But against factions that can actually hit them from multiple angles at once, it can be a bit of a different proposition for the Skaven. So yeah, generally it's seen as a pretty good matchup for the Beastmen. And I think maybe if the pigs weren't thrown in early and a lot of their sort of fatal damage was done, I mean, we saw, you know, okay value, but if the pigs mass blogging in the Doom Wheels, and good value on both the Doom Wheels there, you know, pretty happy with that. Could have been a different game, because I think in the late game, the chariot squad of my opponent probably beats my foot squad just through cycle charging, because my opponent did have a lot of sort of rallying infantry coming back. But yeah, Doom Wheels did well, fun unit, and I think this is probably one of their better matchups. Rat Ogres provided a little bit of mass, but probably I think they took a bit of a Trader King and probably could have been used a little bit better by myself. Wolf Rats, important unit here because obviously they're very fast, and on the charge they do quite good damage. Just really can't take counter charges from literally anything in the Beastmen in the Beastmen faction. Obviously, as a faction with high charge bonus generally. Council Guard doing some good work. And then, yeah, the Hero Squad, 1400. Assassin probably just didn't have any, couldn't really catch the characters. Chieftains had an absolute... Chieftains just run around with Skrulk. But, yeah, Skrulk's had a decent game. And then, yeah, you don't expect much from Skaven Infantry. But for my opponent, Kazrak, obviously, yeah, there's some good Traderkins in there and some nice kills on the Brave Shaman. But the other two Chariot characters are not doing quite as well. And then the Infantry basically... I think my opponent probably just needed to delay the frontline fight until he could sandwich me. And I don't think I can win this game if I get a hit on both sides at the same time. But given the Ungors just got completely run over by Doom Wheels, the Centaurs obviously all did good work. But yeah, just one big engagement would have been better than two sort of slightly unfavorable or unfavored engagements from the front and then the rear. Gave me time to sort of reposition my force. But yeah, great game and a really fun game nonetheless from Learn God. And thanks to everyone else who's come along to check it out. We'll be back with more soon. Until then, take care.